2021. How about that? Happy New Year, everyone. Today we're doing a Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram and YouTube for some questions, and you provided me with a lot of questions. And it's always fun to answer questions because I know you guys have a lot of them. So don't forget that there's just 1 week left to submit your drops for the headphone giveaway. But without any further ado, let's get into some questions. Could you do a video tutorial about Dirty Palm Future Bounce? Yes, I'll do that pretty soon probably. What is your height? Please answer. I'm 1 meter 90 centimeters. What's that in feet? 6'2"? I don't know. America, you have to start using the metric system. Will there be a Christmas discount on your store? Yes, but it ended yesterday. I didn't make music for a long time due to my academics. Do you think it's possible to get back? Without a doubt, it's never too late to get into anything. Like if your goal is to break through with your music, then your age really has nothing to do with it. So it doesn't really matter how old you are. What is your equipment? Camera, monitor, computer? Well, my camera is a Lumix GH4. My monitor is an AOC 34-inch curved screen. It's very nice. It's like a lower priced curved monitor. I really like it. In my computer, there's an i7-9700K, I believe, 3.6 gigahertz, 32 gigs of RAM, and as of now, a GTX 1070. But I do want to get the new RTX cards, so maybe I'll do that. Should I buy Sylenth or Serum for Future House? Generally, you can do a lot more with Serum, but I found Sylenth to be a bit easier to use in the beginning. But once you get the hang of Serum, you can do pretty much, well, you can do any sound in Serum. So Serum. How to create atmosphere in a track? Well, it kind of depends on what type of atmosphere you're going for, but generally I like to use a lot of reverb. If you apply reverb to anything, then that's automatically going to be put more in the background of the mix. Also cut all the low frequencies out of like ambient samples and stuff like that and have like just one bass sound or whatever. How did you start making music and who inspired you? Well, I started making music because I was listening to a lot of music and I just figured how hard can it be? I was about 12 at the time and I was listening to a lot of like Avicii, Deadmau5, and like Swedish House Mafia was really big back then. But yeah, Deadmau5 and Avicii were definitely my biggest inspirations in the beginning. How did you make your awesome sample pack, especially the drone sounds? It's basically just sounds with a lot of reverb on them. So it will be just like a chord synth or something, and I'll just paste out like a long chord or 2 notes or something. Just put a ton of reverb on that. Maybe add another instrument like a guitar one shot or something, and then put a lot of reverb on that. Do some tweaking, some EQ, and yeah. Do you have other job than producer? No. Since this spring, all I've had to do is YouTube to be able to live. And that is 100% thanks to you guys, because you buy my sample packs and my presets and everything like that. So yeah, without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. At what age did you start producing and did you go to music school? Like I said before, I started producing when I was about 12. And no, I never went to any music school or anything like that. Do you have Spire? No. How did you learn to mix and master? Mainly, I would say those things come with time, at least mixing. I feel like my mixes sounded really bad just up until like 2 years ago. Like after I graduated high school, I think it is, gymnasiet in Sweden. I took a year to just only focus on my music, and that's where I like learned a ton. I became really critical of my own music, and I think that's a huge step towards becoming better at mixing. What genres do you enjoy besides everything house, future house, space house, etc.? I enjoy a lot of different music. I touched on this in the last Q&A that I did this summer, but I am a huge rock and like metal fan, and I honestly think that's where a lot of my melodic influences come from. My favorite bands used to be like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Bullet for My Valentine, bands like that, and they have very melodic and a lot of like harmonic guitar solos and stuff like that. So I think I have a lot to thank, like especially rock music. How to sound design, bros? I'm gonna make a video on sound design soon, so you can make your own presets and stuff like that. It's very simple. How old are you? I'm 21. Best tip you can give to beginner producers? My best tip and word of advice is learning how to produce music takes a lot of time. I didn't start to become anywhere near good until I had been producing for like 6-7 years. And I've had a lot of plateaus during the years. So like there's been periods when I haven't become any better at all. And then just all of a sudden you start to become better again if you just keep at it. So my best tip is know that it takes time and don't give up. And always try to become better and learn new stuff. Are you going to make a reaction video for the giveaway contest? Yes. Have you played at a concert? If yes, then where and how was it? I was very close to playing my first like official DJ gig, but that obviously got cancelled. So the answer is no, but I do love DJing. I've DJed a lot at like parties and graduation stuff and things like that. So how do I make more aggressive drop? What is more important, sound selection or mixing? I would say a good mix is always very important, but sound selection for an aggressive drop is also very important. Work with a lot of distortion on the leads and don't be afraid to do something stupid like add distortion to the master or whatever. And also work with shorter samples. So your kick, for example, make that shorter because it's gonna be a lot more punchy and like attacky if it's just really short and punchy. How should we market our music and how should we know the perfect label for us? I'm actually really bad at labels because I haven't really released that much music. I mean, I have released on the world's biggest label, but other than that, I don't know actually. I want to get into that a bit more though, so I'll have to come back with a better answer on the label thing. But marketing your music, getting your music heard, just try to connect with like-minded people. Try to build a community around your music. Kind of in the way that I've done with my YouTube channel. Now we're at 10,000 subscribers. I think 11 when this video goes up. And whenever I release a new track, at least there's gonna be like 1,000 people checking it out. So that's one good way of like marketing your music or whatever. But the most important thing I think is to just make really, really good music. And if that can get heard by the right people, then you could be all good to go. How did you get so good at mixing? I don't think I'm that good at mixing, but like I said before, it's just a lot of time and a lot of self-critique. You have to be brutally honest with yourself in order to improve on something. So if your mix sounds bad, you have to acknowledge it first before you can fix it. Why Future House? I don't know, I like Future House, but I don't feel like I found my genre yet or my sound, so we'll see what happens. What's your favorite record label? I don't know. Again, I'm pretty bad at labels. I really used to like Future House music, like the label Future House music, but I've kind of moved away from that a little bit. I don't know. I feel like Strange Fruits are putting out some pretty good music, and they seem to be pretty good at getting streams and stuff. But I've also heard that they don't treat their artists like super good. I don't know, I have no idea. I don't want to burn any bridges here, so maybe Strange Fruits. I don't know, is that even what they're called? I have no idea. What is more important, the breakdown, the build-up, or the drop? The drop, I would say. Ultimately, the drop is like the most, it's like the heart of the track. But I'm also a sucker for like a really nice break or what's it called? Like verse. And a lot of the time I feel like people forget that part. Do I really need a music production course? I would say it depends. If you can find like a really good course that teaches you in a way that you can understand, then it might be worth your investment. But ultimately what's going to take you to the next level is time and experience. So you have to be able to put in the hours and learn that way. But yeah, I think for sure a good music production course could kind of kickstart you in the right direction. How do you sound design your drums for your sample packs? So if you take a kick sample, for example, a kick is pretty much just a sine wave that starts off at a really high pitch and then goes down super quick. So it goes like pew. That's what a kick is. That pitch automation is how you get that punch in the kick. The exact same thing is used on leads and basses and stuff like that. You do like a pitch automation like super quick in the beginning of the sound to get some attack. There's a really good plugin for that called Kick 2. That's what I use to make my kicks. It's super simple and intuitive, and there's a bunch of like click samples that comes with it. So you're kind of layering your pitched sine wave with some clicks and punchy sounds. And that's how you create a kick. Same thing really for any percussion. A clap, for example, is just like an EQ'd white noise. And once you start adding like EQ and compression and reverb and distortion, stuff like that, that's really how you create your own samples from scratch. I can make a video about that as well. How is the money in Spotify? On both YouTube and Spotify, you need millions of streams or millions of views every single month to just be able to live off of streams. So for most artists, they're gonna have to find some other way to make a living from their music. I recommend to check out the 1,000 fans theory or something like that. 1,000 true fans. In practice, it's not really that simple, but I think it's a good idea to kind of wrap your head around that you don't really need tens of millions of streams on Spotify every single month to be able to do what you want to do. So best mastering plugins, I would say Ozone. There's not much more to say there really. Ozone. Alright, here's an interesting question. Why don't you answer your DMs? So I have tried to answer all of the DMs and it was working pretty well for a long time. But the last months I've been getting so many DMs and I really try to get back to everyone. Sometimes I dedicate time to just sit down with my Instagram DMs and reply to people that wrote to me months ago that I still haven't replied to. So yeah, if I don't answer my DMs, it's because I get very many messages sent to me. So if I wasn't a music producer, what would I be? I don't know. I would just like to live in the woods and like cut wood or something. Or selling cars maybe, like at a dealership. Selling BMWs, that would be fun. Or maybe rebuilding old motorcycles or something. I don't know. Who knows what they want to be, honestly. I'm very happy with where I am right now though, and I feel like I'm on the right path. What was the reason you decided to leave a record label and continue on your own? Well, I actually wasn't signed to a record label. I was signed to a management. Without saying too much, I don't think either of us were happy all the time working with each other, so it was just best to part ways. How long had you been producing before you saw your music as release worthy? Maybe 6 or 7 years. I started releasing my first track in 2018, I think. But even back then, I wasn't that good. Why aren't you signed to a label? I think I still have a lot to learn and I need to find my own style before I can become the best version of myself. And I also haven't ever really reached out to any labels. You always look like Rumi Official, and you are the same as him also. What? We're just both Swedish and we do music, that's it. What's your thought process behind making a lead bass pad preset in Sylenth or Serum? Well, I can make a video on sound design to kind of explain this a little bit more in depth, but basically, so let's say I want to make like a really hard lead sound. Start off with a saw wave maybe, up the voices, add a little bit of detune, you add that little pitch thing that I talked about earlier, then maybe I add another oscillator with something a little bit more funky than a saw wave, like some weird wavetable from somewhere. Just mess around with that, kind of see what I get, and then just processing, like distortion, EQ, reverb, compression. All of a sudden you're gonna have a bunch of presets that you can use for everything. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this Q&A. If you watched this far, then thank you, I really appreciate it. Oh, and since this is the first video of this year, I just want to say thank you for everything that happened last year. I don't know what happened the last few months of 2020, but my channel grew a lot. I really appreciate that there are people out there watching. I am really looking forward to 2021. I feel like in 2019 when people said like 2020 is gonna be my year, because it was like a special year, 2020, and then COVID came and nothing happened this year. For me, this year was still really special because we're still like a super small channel, but it's my full-time job and I love it. And again, I wouldn't be able to do this if you guys weren't watching. So I figured out a lot of stuff in 2020. It was kind of like a trial and error phase. And in 2021, I just want to focus on making everything better. So again, thank you for watching. I will see you next Friday with a brand new video. Discord, Spotify, Instagram, Twitch, everything like that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next Friday. Bye bye.